last class, we did warm-up exercises. This class, we're going to move into thumbnails. We're going to move into small little drawings. So these thumbnails or these sketches are ways for you to work out ideas of things. So if you have an idea in your mind, the question is, how do you get it actually into a piece of art or a drawing? And so what everybody's using is they use their sketchbook to do that. Use your sketchbook to places where you work on, you're working out your design problems, so that then you're not doing that in, let's see if I can find some pieces here. You're not doing it on your painting. Sometimes that's fine, or you're drawing. So there's a couple things to look at here. One is I put a frame around my piece, right? I knew that I was working on a long horizontal, so I put a frame around it, and what that does is that creates positive and negative space. Inside this, everything inside is where I want you to look. Everything outside, I don't want you to look. So that's why most beginning artists don't frame their drawings or their sketches. And there's times where you don't want to and need to, right? Because you're working on something else, right? So it doesn't need to have a frame on it. And other times, then it's you want and need to. Oh, a hummingbird just flew into my space. Hi. Hi. Wow. So here's another example, right? So I'm putting a frame around something, and then I'm working on really loose, light, quick drawings. Nothing that takes any amount of time, because I want to put my time into my piece, but I want to work out some of my design elements. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw, and you're going to follow along. So everybody needs a sketchbook or a piece of paper. I'm going to do it here so it's a little bit easier, right? So everybody needs a piece of paper. And you're just going to follow me. So go ahead and draw those. They're small pieces. They could be a little smaller than this for sure in your sketchbook. They're small. They're all smaller pieces. And then draw along with me and draw this fast or this slow. Right? We're just going to keep going for a little bit. I'm actually drawing in a certain way, which we'll talk about later in next class, because I'm doing something that's about the rule of thirds. There. So copy that set. And draw as fast as I'm drawing. So now we're going to keep going. Upside down. The next part is then to do another page on your own. And you'll notice these that I started even going into some imagery. So be careful not to go this way too much. And here I went back to the abstract work. So we're working on, once you get into imagery, then all of a sudden you have narratives. And it's okay if they're simple, but it's easy to get lost in those. And then you can see that I've started to break out into size. So this next page is to do pieces then on your own. That's all about these thumbnails. So they're just smaller design pieces exploring this space, the concept of what's happening in your space here and how can you play around with it. How do you get something that's dynamic or interesting, you know, something that moves across a piece that has a flow to it. So this is the fun exploration of these little thumbnails, right? They're little teeny drawings that are designed to help you access how your mind thinks in a very quick, easy, simple way. You can also start to slowly break out of the frame, like here, right? So I'm moving out of the frame, I'm putting something behind this, I'm adding, you know, overlapping shapes, and the next part is where we're going to use our pencil and then start to go into these pieces and just use black and white. So we're stepping into this concept of duality. Dualities, we're just going with black and white. We're not going into values. Values is the in between black and whites. This is white paper, so you can't go any whiter than this paper. So we'll talk about like even starting out on paper that's not white so that we can control our whites. You'll hear me say that throughout the whole class. Control your whites. So one is that as you work on it over time, you'll, I'm drawing upside down, so you're going to be smearing. If you don't want that to happen, you can just put a piece of paper here and protect your hand that way. And so what I'm doing is I'm just kind of playing through pieces fairly quickly, right? And I'm just going for heavy. I want to see how heavy my pencil can get. So this is where our pressure is solid. And I'm just going to fill in as fast as possible. I'm basically blocking areas in. And the goal is that I'm going to try to get half black and half white in my piece. So you can see I'm actually adding pieces while I'm working. You know, I'm adding pieces, or I added more rays here, and then I did every other one. Or here I did every other one. So it gets this kind of cool complementary thing. Here I actually put a drop shadow on it. So I'll look at a shape, and maybe I'll either outline it to try to get more of something that I can fill in. So I like to outline some of my shapes. That's helpful, for then I still get to keep my circles, and I'm outlining things. Or like these pieces are pretty easy. I can just go back in black and white, checkerboard. So you can see how fast I'm trying to fill it in. I'm trying to get all of the area as quick as I can without being too, I don't want to spend time here. That's the main thing. These are all this quick kind of drawing pieces. Like, how can I draw something where it just doesn't take much time? And that's the whole essence of sketches and sketching and thumbnails. So thumbnails, they're small, right? They're small pieces. They can be larger, they can be smaller, but the essence of them is that they're small. And so then the project is to keep moving this way and do a whole sheet once you get to like this. And then after you get a whole sheet going on, then there's different ways that you can even play around, and you can connect some of your pieces so that the whole piece starts to becoming a design element.